Rich, where did you get that coat from, man? That shit was good, because I wanted to make him comfortable. That shit was good as a motherfucker. He's like, I got it from my connect.
Yeah, so it's always gonna be something new. When a person decides to be themselves, they offer something no one else can be.
From testifying against your own gang for 45 fewer years in prison to taking a plea deal that your former best friend says destroyed his RICO case. The rappers on this list didn't just get accused of snitching, they got exposed. Some of them had their paperwork leaked online. Some sat on the witness stand in a federal courtroom and pointed fingers at the people who used to be family. And one of them became the most famous snitch in the entire history of hip-hop. These are 10 rappers who got exposed for snitching. Number 10, Alpo Martinez. Before we even talk about rappers, we need to talk about the man who set the blueprint for snitching in hip-hop culture.
How'd they even get the idea that you killed Rich? Huh? How did they find out that you killed Rich? I told them. You told them? I told him. You told AZ? Yeah, I told AZ I killed Rich. Why'd you tell him? I was on the phone talking to him, and I said, I know you want to know. Just like I said when I talk to certain people.
Alpo Martinez wasn't technically a rapper, but his story is so deeply woven into the fabric of hip-hop that you can't have this conversation without him. Nas, Jay-Z, Drake, Meek Mill, they've all referenced him in their music. Cameron literally played him in the 2002 movie Paid in Full.
Calvin. Come on, man.
In the 1980s, Alpo was running one of the biggest cocaine operations Harlem had ever seen. He was making millions, riding through the city like he owned it, and building a reputation as someone you absolutely did not cross. He expanded his empire all the way down to Washington, D.C., where he linked up with a notorious enforcer named Wayne Silk Perry. But in 1990, Alpo did something that would define his legacy forever. He murdered his best friend and business partner, Rich Porter, shot him in a van after luring him in with small talk about a cocaine connect. Alpo later admitted to it on camera in a documentary, describing the moment in chilling detail. Feds finally caught up to him in 1991. Alpo was facing 14 counts of murder and enough drug charges to guarantee the death penalty or life without parole. So he did the math and he flipped. Alpo testified against his own crew, including Silk Perry, who got 5 consecutive life sentences. In exchange, Alpo received 35 years. He served 25 of them at ADX Florence, the most secure federal prison in the country, locked in a special unit reserved for high-profile informants. When he got out in 2015, the feds gave him a new name, Abraham Rodriguez, and relocated him to Lewiston, Maine, under witness protection. But Alpo couldn't stay away. He started showing up in Harlem again, posting videos on social media, riding his motorcycle through the same streets where everyone knew what he'd done. On Halloween morning 2021, at 3:30 in the morning, someone found him sitting in a Dodge Ram truck on 147th Street. He'd been shot 5 times. The streets never forgot what he did to Rich Porter, and they never forgave him for cooperating. The Porter family was out in Harlem that same day, popping champagne. But Alpo's story is just the beginning, because the next person on this list did their snitching right in the middle of hip-hop royalty. Number 9, Lil C's. If you know anything about Biggie Smalls, you know Junior M.A.F.I.A. And if you know Junior M.A.F.I.A., you know Lil C's. He was Biggie's right hand, his hype man, one of the closest people in his entire circle. So when C's took the witness stand and testified against another member of that same circle, it sent shockwaves through New York hip-hop. Here's what happened. In February 2001, Lil Kim's crew ran into members of the rap group Capone and Noriega outside the Hot 97 radio station in New York. The confrontation was over a song that contained a diss from Foxy Brown aimed at Kim. Things escalated fast. Shots were fired, and one person was hit. When the feds investigated the shooting, they called Lil Kim in front of a grand jury. She denied that her manager, Damian Butler, and bodyguard Suif Jackson were there that day. The problem? The feds had surveillance footage, phone taps, and two-way messages proving they were. Kim had lied under oath. The feds subpoenaed Lil C's as a witness, and C's, who wasn't on good terms with Kim at the time, got on the stand and confirmed what the feds already knew. Butler and Jackson were there. Kim was convicted of 3 counts of perjury and 1 count of conspiracy. She went to federal prison for a year and a day, and Lil C's got branded a snitch by half the hip-hop world overnight. C's has always maintained he had no choice. He said the government subpoenaed him, and he either had to testify or go to jail himself. He also pointed out that Kim's conviction came from her own lies. not from anything he said. But the damage was done. Rapper Mano later admitted in an interview that he physically attacked C's over the whole situation. The label stuck for years. It wasn't until 2019, at a dinner celebrating what would have been Biggie's 47th birthday, that C's publicly apologized to Kim with tears in his eyes. The Biggie era was supposed to be sacred ground, but even legends aren't immune to the federal system. And speaking of sacred ground, this next entry comes from one of the most loyalty-obsessed rap scenes in the country. Number 8, Tay 600. If you follow Chicago drill music at all, you know that the culture there takes the no snitching code more seriously than almost anywhere else. Artists rap about their dead friends, their enemies, their court cases. Everything is out in the open, which is exactly why the Tay 600 situation hit so hard. Tay 600 was part of the 600 Block crew on Chicago's South Side, connected to well-known drill rappers. When two members of the crew, C-Day and Rondo No. 9, were arrested and charged with murder, the whole scene was watching to see how things would play out. Then paperwork started circulating online. Documents allegedly showed that someone from within the crew had cooperated with investigators, and fingers pointed directly at Tay 600. The accusation ripped through the Chicago drill community. Former friends turned on him publicly. Rappers who used to be in the same videos were suddenly calling him a rat on social media and in their music. Tay denied it repeatedly, saying the paperwork was fabricated or taken out of context. But in Chicago's drill scene, once the accusation sticks, it doesn't come off. C-Day and Rondo both received lengthy prison sentences, and Tay 600 became one of the most talked about alleged snitches in drill history. Whether or not the paperwork tells the full story, the perception destroyed his standing in the scene almost overnight. In a city where your reputation is literally a matter of life and death, that's not something you recover from. But the next person on this list wasn't a street rapper. He was one of the most connected men in the entire music industry. Number 7, Jimmy Henchman. James Roseman, known in the music world as Jimmy Henchman, was a feared figure in hip-hop for decades. He managed major artists, had connections across the entire industry, and moved through the rap world with the kind of influence that made people either respect him or avoid him entirely. Behind the scenes, federal investigators were building a case that Roseman was running a drug operation worth roughly $10 million a year, and his connections went even deeper than that. Prosecutors linked him to the 1994 shooting of Tupac Shakur at Quad Recording Studios in New York, one of the most infamous incidents in hip-hop history. When the feds finally indicted Henchman in 2011 on drug trafficking charges, they launched a month-long manhunt before catching him. Then, according to authorities, Roseman offered what's called a proffer agreement. That's essentially a formal meeting with prosecutors where you provide information in exchange for the possibility of a reduced sentence. In street terms, that's cooperating. That's providing the feds with information they can use. Roseman was ultimately convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But the fact that one of the most connected and feared men in hip-hop tried to cut a deal with the government proves something that a lot of people already suspected. When you're staring at life behind bars, the code gets a lot harder to follow. And nobody proved that point more than the next person on this list. Number 6, T.I. Clifford Harris, known worldwide as T.I., the self-proclaimed king of the South, found himself in one of the strangest snitching controversies in rap history. And the twist is, he's the one who confirmed it. In 2007, T.I. was arrested in a federal sting operation trying to purchase 3 machine guns, 2 silencers, and a bunch of other firearms. For charges like that, you'd expect a sentence measured in decades. Instead, T.I. walked away with roughly a year in prison and some community service. The rap world immediately started asking questions. How does someone get caught buying machine guns and silencers from a federal agent and walk away with 12 months? People started throwing around the word cooperator, suggesting T.I. must have given the feds something valuable in exchange for that deal. I denied it for years. He said he just had excellent lawyers and a sympathetic judge. But then a video surfaced. In the clip, Ty admitted on camera that earlier in his career, before he was famous, he and his cousin were caught in a situation, and he pinned a gun case on his own relative to save himself. When that confession video resurfaced and went viral, the internet lost its mind. Here was one of the biggest rappers alive, a man who built his entire brand on street credibility, admitting he threw his own family under the bus. His son, King Harris, tried to defend him on social media, but the damage was already done. No formal court documents have ever surfaced proving T.I. cooperated in the 2007 weapons case. But between the impossibly light sentence and his own admission about the earlier incident, the questions have never fully gone away. If you're finding this helpful, hit subscribe. We cover hip-hop stories like this every week and break down what's really going on behind the headlines. Now let's talk about the man who made snitching famous, and I mean that literally. Number 5, Tekashi 6ix9ine. There is no bigger snitch in the history of hip-hop, not even close. He had millions of followers and a public persona built entirely around being associated with the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, a violent New York street gang. But behind the scenes, the relationship between 6ix9ine and 9 Trey had completely fallen apart. Snoop Dogg posted about how Martha Stewart did her time without cooperating and called her the real one. His testimony helped convict 2 high-ranking 9 Trey members who now face life in prison. In exchange, 6ix9ine's sentence was reduced from 47 years to 2. The federal judge praised his cooperation as extraordinary and brave. Number 4, Casanova 2 Times. This one stings because Casanova was one of the rappers who talked the loudest about loyalty. The Brooklyn rapper, whose real name is Caswell Sr., built his image around being authentic, being from the streets, being the real deal. Casanova was named in a sweeping RICO indictment targeting the Gorilla Stone Nation, a Bloods-affiliated gang. He was charged with racketeering conspiracy, drug distribution, and firearms offenses. After initially going on the run, Casanova turned himself in. And then, like so many before him, he took a plea deal. He pled guilty to conspiracy charges and is awaiting sentencing. Now there's an important distinction here. Taking a plea deal doesn't automatically mean you cooperated or gave up information. Plenty of people plead guilty simply because the evidence against them is overwhelming, and going to trial would result in an even harsher sentence. But in the court of public opinion, especially in hip-hop, any deal with the government raises eyebrows, especially when you spent years positioning yourself as the opposite of a snitch. The irony of the man who publicly clashed with 6ix9ine over street credibility, ending up in a similar situation with the feds, was not lost on the internet. Number 3, Lil Woody. If you followed the YSL RICO case that consumed Atlanta hip-hop for over 2 years.
I don't recall none of that. I just know that every time the police was after me, trying to get me, they kept bringing his name up. And I knew that they had me what I had, so I was like, yeah, whatever y'all want me to say, I would say it. That's why I told Gaither and Dennis, and that's why they kept coming after me, because they felt like, okay.
You've heard this name. Kenneth Copeland, known as Lil Woody, became one of the most significant cooperators in the sprawling case against Young Thug and YSL Records. Woody was an associate of YSL who found himself facing serious charges. According to reports, he began cooperating with prosecutors and provided testimony about the inner workings of YSL, helping the government build their case against Young Thug and the other defendants. His cooperation made him one of the most despised figures in Atlanta rap circles. While Young Thug sat in jail for over 2 years waiting for his trial, Woody's alleged testimony was helping prosecutors paint a picture of YSL as a criminal street gang rather than just a record label. The details of exactly what Woody told investigators remain somewhat murky, but his name became synonymous with betrayal in the YSL camp. Fans and associates of Young Thug pointed to Woody as proof that the government's case was built on the backs of cooperators who were saving themselves. And that brings us to the most controversial entry on this entire list. Because while Lil Woody's cooperation was somewhat expected from someone facing serious charges, this next person was supposed to be family. Number 2, the RICO trap. Before we get to number 1, we need to talk about why this keeps happening. Because it's not a coincidence that so many rappers are ending up in this position. Federal RICO cases are designed to take down entire organizations. The government charges everyone from the top to the bottom, then offers deals to the lower level members to testify against the leaders. It's the same playbook they used to take down the mafia in the 1980s, and now they're using it on rap crews. Here's how it works. Federal prosecutors have a conviction rate above 90%. When they bring RICO charges, they come with years of wiretaps, surveillance, social media evidence, and cooperating witnesses already lined up. By the time you know you're being charged, they've been building the case for years. So when a rapper is sitting across from their lawyer, and the lawyer says you're looking at 20 to 40 years, the math changes. Loyalty is easy to talk about in a song. It's a lot harder to maintain when you're 25 years old, and someone is telling you that you won't see the outside world again until you're 60. That's the trap. And it's swallowing more rappers every year. YSL, Gorilla Stone, Nine Trey. These RICO cases are reshaping hip-hop in real time. And the biggest example of that tension between loyalty and survival is sitting right at number 1. Number 1, Gunna. This is the one that split the entire hip-hop community in half. And depending on who you ask, Gunna is either a snitch who betrayed Young Thug or an innocent man who took the only legal option available to protect himself. In May 2022, Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis dropped a massive RICO indictment on Young Thug and 27 other people associated with YSL. Prosecutors alleged that YSL wasn't just a record label, it was a criminal street gang responsible for murder, robbery, assault, and drug trafficking going back to 2012. Gunna, whose real name is Sergio Kitchens, was one of the people indicted. He turned himself in and sat in jail for months, denied bond multiple times. Then in December 2022, Gunna took an Alford plea. That's a special kind of plea where you don't admit guilt, but acknowledge that prosecutors have enough evidence to likely convict you. Here's where it gets complicated. As part of that plea, Gunna stood in court and affirmed several statements. He agreed that YSL is both a record label and a gang. He acknowledged having personal knowledge that members committed crimes in furtherance of that gang. He stated that guns and drugs found in a car he shared with Young Thug were not his, and he said he furthered the alleged crimes of the collective through his music. His lawyer, Steve Sadow, immediately pushed back. Sadow said Gunna did not snitch, did not cooperate, did not agree to testify, and provided no interviews or statements to investigators. An Alford plea, Sadow argued, is not cooperation, it's a legal strategy. But the hip-hop world wasn't buying it. Lil Baby unfollowed Gunna on Instagram. Lil Durk took shots at him in his music. Boosie Badass went on a campaign calling him a rat publicly and repeatedly. Even members of YSL itself were torn. YSL co-founder Mondo initially called Gunna a snitch, then walked it back months later, admitting he folded under pressure but didn't technically rat. Then came the leaked phone calls. In September 2025, jail calls between Young Thug and 21 Savage surfaced online. In the recordings, Thug directly addressed the Gunna situation. He said Gunna's plea affirming that YSL was a gang is what made the whole thing a RICO case. According to Thug, Gunna said he knew individuals on the case who committed crimes in furtherance of a gang, and Thug's position was clear. That statement helped the prosecution. Gunna has continued to release music through YSL Records. He's maintained publicly that his relationship with Thug is fine, that he never cooperated, and that people outside the case don't understand the legal details. But the court footage doesn't lie. You can watch Gunna standing in that courtroom answering yes to every question the prosecution asked. Whether that legally qualifies as snitching is a debate for lawyers. Whether it qualifies as snitching in the eyes of hip-hop culture is a question the streets have already answered. And that's the real story here. It's not just about Gunna. It's about what happens when the federal government brings the full weight of a RICO indictment against a group of young men who built their careers rapping about loyalty, brotherhood, and never folding. Some of them held the line, some of them couldn't. And the fans, the culture, and the legal system are still sorting out where those lines actually are. The street code says you never cooperate. The federal system says cooperate or spend your life in a cell. And somewhere in between those two realities, hip-hop keeps losing its own to the same trap over and over again.